The LCS is screwed. Like, North American League of Legends is legitimately screwed. And I'm not normally one to be a downer, but I feel like I have to be in this moment because every single red herring that I've been raising for such a long period of time has come to fruition in this exact moment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Busio has announced that he is Sheep Esports announced that he's going over to Europe. He's going to KCorp. Okay? We lost easily the best support in the West. We lost one of the last remaining massive North American faces from the last 4 years. There was a post that somebody had of the faces of the LCS. They're all gone. They're all gone. Berserker gone. Jojo Pune in Europe. Busio now in Europe. We lost all of them. It is absolutely time to crash out because I need to get all this out. I'm going to have a podcast going live here in an hour and a half. I just wanted to get these thoughts out so I'm not as raging on a live stream. I can at least edit this. But first and foremost, let's talk about the fall. Okay, who bears the brunt of all this? And I saw LS's tweet saying, hey, the teams really aren't at fault here. They tried their best to be able to get Busio and keep him here. To which I would say, the teams are the reason we're in this problem in the first place. Okay, when all these teams got their venture capital money back in 2018, what did they do with it? They overinflated the shit out of player salaries. And what did that do? That disincentivized people from doing anything other than playing the game. Why? Because you tied their salaries saying, hey, we'll pay these massive salaries because we're going to go win internationally. Because that's what matters in this region more than anything, despite a history of never being able to do so. So we cut back on content. The personalities shriveled up because all they were doing was going and playing the game because that's what maxed out their salary and allowed them to keep their jobs. So understandably, they're not going to focus on content as much. Makes sense for them, right? But that's not just it. North American players, up until this current crop, which I'll get into that in a second, we could not, for the life of us, figure out a way to promote North American talent. It is the default assumption in this region that, hey, if you have a slot, first question, do you have an import slot open? If so, what Korean player are you picking up? It's never a North American talent question. The C9 slot opening up right now in mid lane because Loki's going back to Korea, the default assumption is that they're not picking up a North American player. I understand that we have our issues with Tier 2 because the talent is not as diverse as it is in other systems like Korea in the LEC. But dear God, when you're not giving them any chances, and we weren't for years. On top of that, you're holding the good players in Tier 2 hostage with massive buyouts back in the day, which fucked everybody. Now, they're all going over to Europe. They're going to CBLOL. They're going to other different places to get a chance to play in a spot that would get them more recognition because nobody pays attention to Tier 2 here in North America. Guilty of that myself. Only have so much time, to be fair, and teams, once they pulled their ties with it, I don't have time to follow two different leagues. I can follow 100 Thieves, A team and B team. That's no problem. And I did back when, which is why whenever Yukino was coming up, I was like, hey, time for Yukino to go in after it was very clear that Closer was going to be moving on from 100 Thieves. No, Yukino's now over at KCorp Blue. Which by all means, we got River, so I can't really complain all that much, and it obviously led to where we're at now. But the point still is, if you are a North American player in this region, you cannot look to North American teams as a guaranteed chance of getting your spot. You are more likely to probably get one if you go over to Tier 2 in Europe and play up through there. Or just get directly recruited if you're a big enough star. Because even the smaller names, you're better off going over there. But the bigger names, like the Jojo Pune, the Busio, you name... They're getting poached now because why the fuck would they play in North America at this point? Look at the juice that Busio's getting just by being a part or being rumored to be a part of KCorp at this point. Their fandoms are massive. And that's also the team's fault because you did fuck all to actually develop a fandom here in North America, one that is grassroots. Last year, okay, we were on the Crossover podcast. Me and Paul were talking. Papa Smithy comes in chat. And we were worried about the LTA merger and a whole bunch of other shit. I'll get to Riot's fault in that here in a minute. But one of the things that was mentioned was we're focused on getting international fans. Motherfucker, the international fans are going to follow the international teams or they will watch a specific player in the same way that, guess what? I'm going to watch Europe now. Why? Because Busio's there. Okay? If you think that I'm going to become a KCorp fan because of that, I'm not. I'm just following the player because my team will be a part of my home region, which is here. So the idea that North American fans have or orgs had for the longest period of time, oh, we'll have an international audience, that was never going to work. They gave up entirely on trying to develop a North American fandom and audience. The content was never there. It was so stale from 2018 on. It wasn't even funny. It fell behind on trends. I had to plead with orgs to make a fucking TikTok account. Like, why am I, random guy, pleading with you to do your job of building a fandom here in North America? The thing that bugs me the most is that it's just going to take so much time to fix this. Con and I were just talking in my Discord prior to this, actually, like literally mid this news breaking, about what needs to happen from org side in terms of how they develop content, how they work things going forward to try and build an audience here. How little Shopify has actually utilized Charlie and Ludwig. Now, granted, they're busy people, but like that's why you need upcoming creators to help build the face of this program. Your job is to build up people, including your creators that can help promote the brand. I was arguing that, 30,000 average viewers on a YouTube video is going to be really good for North America, considering where we're at. And he was pointing out, understandably, that like, hey, there's other orgs that have like 100,000 average videos. And it's like, well, yeah, because those creators are much bigger now than anybody we have in North America. Our biggest creator was Dom. And he's now going to the coaching route, which understandable. It's always been where his passion lies. It's never been about like specific content creation and trying to grow an audience and a fandom there. Obviously, he has his supporters, but like you could always tell it's different. It's different than somebody like Scump, who is like actively trying to build this massive community for Optic and for himself. We don't have people like that in North America. Orgs didn't invest in those creators, didn't consistently try and pump out the talent pipeline that would allow them to find somebody that can help them build their fandom in a similar way that KCorp does. Because it's not just Kometo with KCorp. Even though he spearheads it, it's not just him. Same thing for Koi. It's not just Abai. It's multiple other people that you grow up alongside these creators that help flush it out and add character to things. Orgs didn't do that. Like, tell me the people outside of Dom, LS, Miss Chim Chim, Brikachu, Sneaky, Meteos, Doublelift, whose like those three's influence has like plummeted over the last few years. Who do we have that's growing? Right? And growing at the scale that you see creators growing at gaming wide, as well as in European League of Legends. You don't. And I genuinely blame teams for not investing in their creator pipelines that can help build fandom and bring in new people. But obviously, this is not all just them. Riot plays a massive part in this, okay? They made terrible decision after terrible decision over and over again. But here's the thing. It's not like the LEC hasn't had bad choices as well. This is why I don't fault, like, even though Riot obviously blames a lot here, you can still grow a product despite Riot actively fighting against you if you got the right teams and creators involved and players as well. Like, Europe hasn't had that good of international results this decade, right? And they're still doing perfectly fine. Why? Because the personalities involved help grow it up. On Riot's side, yes, going to weekdays, fucked us. Getting rid of the LCS brand, fucked us. Going online and in like this closet space because we had to make room for Valorant, fucked us. There's so many different decisions that Riot has made with North American League of Legends that has blanketly fucked us. The removal of road shows, okay? The removal of almost all touch points outside of Los Angeles for us to be able to interact with this product. And the days that you do go out, I mean, we had the problem for like 2 straight years that you're scheduling spring finals on Easter weekend in the Bible Belt in the Carolinas. What are we doing? The choices made from management on Riot have been god-awful. And obviously we've called it out. But it's just like you could still overcome those. I'm sorry, but you could still overcome those if you found ways to tell an interesting story. I mean, I come from a Call of Duty background. I'm an Optic fan. We've had Activision fucking us up the ass way more than Riot ever has with the LCS. All right? They changed the brand multiple times in Call of Duty. They changed the days that you played, the media deals, exclusivity to YouTube with the media rights, which that has its benefits, obviously, of bringing in money, but it limited creators as well in that space. Yet Call of Duty still maintained its through line. It didn't decline. And that's where I'm just like, I think the problems are bigger than that. And the last one that I want to assume fault here, or I want to blame fault, is myself as well, okay? I was too much of a fucking coward back in 2018 to make content. I tried in 2014, failed, and I didn't dip my toes back into it until 2020. And whenever I did finally start making content, then the quality of it was shit. I've been looking back on it in the past like 4 years, and I didn't learn as quickly as I probably should have, which might have helped escalate things. Maybe there's a better way that I could have gone about expressing my fandom and like getting people interested to try and help bridge that gap. I do put responsibility on myself. I could improve certain things with my content to try and do more and be like better as a creator, to hit the algorithms better, to like hit the wider gaming audience, to drive interest for people, to do more for the city of New York. I preach about all these things with grassroots fandom, and there's certain things that, yes, I got lazy with, and I probably could have done more. That King of New York tournament probably could have done by now. Maybe that's a great grassroots initiative that grows things from there. I could have streamed more out. Like maybe there's more effort that I could have put in. And I accept my responsibility in this too, and not growing a fandom that gives Busio and other players like that a reason to stay and help grow this region and grow the LCS to the point where it is an even battle. And it's not just this bluntly obvious choice that like, if you get the offer between FlyQuest and KCorp, you're going to take KCorp every fucking time. Why? Because you're going to be at multiple road shows each and every year, playing in front of thousands of fans, which is so much better for your brand. I'd imagine they're paying more than North America is right now because their viewership is like 5 times what North American viewership is. They have like, even taking into account that Europe doesn't get the sponsors that we do, and they like do not have the pool of brand deals, you name it, everything. They generally, like, the American market is the premium market if you can get it to work. And somehow we fumbled that. All right, so there's every reason to go over to Europe. And I know this ain't going to be the last one. There's no chance this is going to be the last one. I would be shocked if Inspired stays in North America. I really would. And I think if you're a player, and this hurts me to say, because I want to find out how we can grow this thing in North America, if that's even possible at this point. I want to find out how we keep these guys, because we're just going to keep losing them. I keep saying we got to hit rock bottom, and I think we've hit it, and then we just find a way to go lower somehow. And I don't know. I think I've crashed out enough. This probably is incoherent at this point with how much shit I've just been rambling on. So I'll just say this. I'm going to promise to do my part to be better and hopefully, lead to change that, eventually turns around viewership, increases fandom, and gets us to a point where we can at least make competitive offers against Europe and the top teams over there. But it's going to take years. This type of stuff takes a long time to build up. So just be wary. If you're a fan of North American League of Legends and you want to stick around, I'll be here for it. But it's going to be a long ride, a long, long journey to try and recover this thing, assuming we can. Because there's also a world where viewership drops even further, and maybe we just send 2 teams from the Americas over to Europe to play in the LEC as, the America slots over there. I don't fucking know. But either way, this is a problem. A big, big problem. And maybe when I'm less angry, I'll have better answers. But for now, I've got nothing.